Hey folks, let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. We're doing something different. We're getting ready for our Memorial Day weekend annual cookout that we have here, and we'll have some guests over. And what I usually do is I smoke a Boston butt. Now they call these Boston butts, but they're really they don't come from the butt of a hog. Okay, they come from the shoulder area. And this is a really nice piece of meat, and it makes really good barbecue if you smoke it, you prepare it, and you take your time doing it. So the reason we use this piece of meat right here, and you have to cook it so long, is this is not very tender. This is off the muscle part of the hog, and it tends to be really tough. That's why you want to cook it at a low temperature, and we'll be cooking ours around 200 to 225 degrees. We'll be cooking it for anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. And this will make this piece of meat really super tender, and it will break down this muscle, and it'll make really good barbecue. Now, to get started, what we're going to be doing is I got to make up a rub that I like. This is a sweet barbecue rub that works good on pork and chicken. And it's very easy to make, and it will last you a long time. And this will be the last thing that we will do when we put this meat in the smoker. We're going to cover it all in mustard, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put our rub on there, and we're going to put it in the smoker and let it go. So what you're going to need to have is you're going to need to have some dark brown sugar. If you don't have dark brown sugar, you can use the light brown, but I like the dark brown sugar. I think it has a little more flavor. We're going to be putting in some onion pepper. Onion powder. Some sea salt. We're going to use sea salt because it's a little coarser. We're also going to be putting in garlic powder and some mustard seed. We'll be putting the mustard seed, the ground mustard seed in. Some coarse black pepper. We're also going to be putting in some paprika. Now, in the past I've used what they call smoked paprika, and sometimes it's hard to find, but I look at it like I'm going to be smoking this piece of meat already anyways, so I don't need to add the extra smoke flavor. We're going to be using hickory or apple wood because that has kind of a sweet flavor, and it really complements the meat when you're smoking it. And then finally, cayenne pepper. Now, I don't do hot stuff, but the cayenne pepper adds just a little bit of a snap to this blend, and it really it brings out the flavor in the meat and really makes it taste good. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already got the smoker out there in the cook shack warming up, so it'll be ready for us when we get out there. We're going to make our rub, and we'll get out there and we'll put the meat in there, and we'll see what happens 10 to 12 hours from now. Okay, to get ready, we're going to need to use a 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. So we'll put our brown sugar in our measuring cup, and you want to tamp it down. You don't want it loose, because this has got to be, accurate as you can get it. The better it is, the closer you are, the better it's going to taste, okay? And just, I guess what you want to do is be a little consistent. So we'll tamp that down. Let me get out a spoon here. Here we go. And we'll check that out. And there we have it. There's a 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. Put that into our mix. Alright, now we're going to need to have 1 teaspoon of our sea salt, and we'll go ahead and get that in there. Next up, 2 teaspoons of cracked black pepper. I have to open this up. That's our coarse black pepper. Boy, oh boy, you can sure tell too. So we're going to put in 1, 2 teaspoons of that. Okay. And now we got to put in our smoked paprika. And like I said, I'm just using standard paprika. 2 teaspoons is what it calls for. And that's just standard, regular paprika. So we'll put in 2 teaspoons of this. Okay. Next up, we're going to use our garlic powder and onion powder. So we'll take our onion powder, and the onion powder is going to also be 2 teaspoons. All right. There's 2 teaspoons of that. And our garlic powder. Garlic powder will be the same thing. You just have to bear with me, folks. I'm a little new with this cooking stuff here, but we're going to get started doing things like this just to add to the show. Alright, there's the there's the garlic powder. Alright, now the mustard, 1 teaspoon of ground mustard. That's your ground mustard, and that's what it looks like. It just it's powdered mustard. Mustard is what it is. So we're going to put in a teaspoon of powdered mustard. Okay. And our final ingredients is going to be our cayenne pepper. Now, I don't usually use a lot of hot stuff when I'm doing this, but I'm going to in this case because, like I said, it really adds to the meat quality. 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now, some of you guys, if you like it a little more, have a little more snap to it, you can put a little more in it if you want, but not me. Alright, now that we have all that done and in our bowl, I'm going to take a large fork right here, okay, and I'm going to mix all this up, and then our rub will be ready to go ahead and put on our meat, and we'll be ready for the next step. So we're going to mix this all up together really good, get all the chunks. You can see the brown sugar, it gets kind of chunky, so you want to mix it in good and get the chunks out of it. Now this is just enough rub that I made for this particular piece of meat. Okay, and I'm going to take my time and just get this the way I really would like to have it. The brown sugar is going to help stick, and it's going to help bond the rest of the ingredients to the meat, along with the mustard, of course. We're going to coat our meat with yellow mustard before we take it on out to the cook shack and get ready to cook our meat. So this is something really simple to do. It doesn't take long. It's taking a little bit longer to record this than anything, but it takes about 5 minutes prep time to get your ingredients ready and to get it all mixed up good. And we're just about ready. Just about got it done, mixed up. I'm mixing this up, as you can see here. I'm mixing this up so we're getting all the powder, like there's some there. We're trying to get it all equally into the brown sugar, okay? That way you're getting a nice coverage on your meat, and it's a nice even coverage all over the piece of meat. Alright, that should take care of that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is set this aside, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and prepare my meat, okay? Now, I'm going to cut off a little bit of excess fat that's on this meat, and beyond that point, I'll go ahead and put the mustard on. So let me go ahead and get this meat cleaned up and get it ready to put our rub on. Okay, what you need to do with your meat is you need to take you some paper towel and dry your meat off, okay? Just take and dry it off, and that'll make everything else stick to it much better. you're going to want to cook this with the fat side down on the grill. And we're going to lay this piece of meat right directly onto the smoker. And we're not going to use any pan or anything like that. We'll put a drip pan below it. But what this will do is it will keep this nice piece of meat to where all the smoke flavor gets into it just the way you would like to have it. Alright, now that's pretty dry. And what I'm going to do now, everybody, is I'm going to cut off just some of this excess fat, okay? Not a lot of it, but you're going to take it all off anyways when you are getting ready to serve your meat. A lot of people don't like all this fat in their barbecue. I know I don't. So we're just going to cut off the excess and clean it up a little bit. And we're going to leave this fat on the bottom. That'll help protect the meat from burning. Now there, that looks pretty good. Looks like a really nice piece of meat. I can't wait to get it started. Can't wait for tomorrow to try it out. So let me go ahead now, and what we're going to do next is we're going to coat this whole thing with yellow mustard, okay? Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the meat on a piece of foil. The only reason I'm doing that is to transport it out to the cook shack so it's not so messy. So we'll get this on a piece of foil on top of our cutting board. And we're ready to coat this with mustard. I'm just using standard yellow mustard, and a lot of guys like to put gloves on and that type of thing to protect your hands while you're doing it. I just dive right on in there with my hands, put the mustard on there, wash them off, and that's about it. So now this is a 8 to a 10 pound piece of meat here, okay, and I'm going to cover it thoroughly with all of our mustard on here, bottom, top, sides, every place. And then after that we're going to put the rub on. Alright, and once the rub is on there, it'll be ready to head on out to our smoker, which is waiting for us out there, and it's set for 220 degrees. And we're going to give this thing a good 10-hour cook, checking the internal temperature. You want your internal temperature to get up to about 190 degrees is where you actually want your internal temperature of your meat. And then after that, when it's ready, we'll take it out and we're going to let it, wrap it up in foil and let it rest for about an hour, a little bit longer maybe. And then we're going to go ahead, and this should come apart in our hands and be really ready for some really good barbecue. So let's go ahead and get started and get our mustard on. Here we go. Now the fun part. Don't be afraid to put the mustard on there and get it where you want it. And rub this piece of meat good with the mustard all over. Sides, bottoms. You're going to want to roll this piece of meat over and do the bottom. Okay. And all the sides, make sure you get enough on there to cover the meat. Now they like you to use, and they say anywhere between 2 and 3 tablespoons of yellow mustard, but I figured when it's coated, thoroughly coated good, then it's ready. Okay, there's the bottom. Alright, and this is going to act as a adhering agent for your rub that you're going to put on here. Alright, now there's that. It looks pretty good. I'm going to wash my hands and come back to it, and we'll get our rub applied. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our rub that we made, and we're going to coat this entire piece of meat with our rub. Now you can see that like I said, I'm using aluminum foil, and that's just to keep the rub from getting all over the place and making a mess. So that's why I'm using aluminum foil on here, but I will take the meat off aluminum foil when we get outside. So let's just go ahead and put this rub all over our meat. And don't be afraid to put it on there. this is what's going to make your meat taste great. Turn it upside down. And finish doing the bottom. And make sure you get your sides good. Folks, this is going to be good. Now, like I said, this is one of just only a very few cooking videos I've done, and I like doing this. I like doing this for friends and sponsors, and you know, my pro staff guys. I just love doing this for people, cooking a meal and having good friends over and enjoying something like this with you, with good friends. So I just thought I'd like to start doing some more of this and show you some of the ways that I do different things. Now, I'm sure that somebody out there has got, make sure you pull back some of the flaps, or whatever you want to call them, you know, the meat, and get that down in that, get that rub down in that meat, okay? Everywhere you can see there's a place, a crevice to get it. But I just enjoy doing this for friends and family, and I just thought, you know, I'd just like to do this to show people how I prepare certain things for cooking and eating. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands again. Alright, so there we have it. We've got our meat ready for the smoker. This is what she looks like. A little bit different than when we started, but our meat is ready for the smoker. I've got the kitchen a mess, so my wife is going to kill me when she comes in and sees the mess I have here, but oh well, she'll be eating some of this too, so she'll forget about it soon enough. But we're going to go ahead now, we're going to take our meat outside and we're going to get it into our cooker and let it smoke. Wait till the internal temperature gets up to 195. See how it looks. Keep the temperature around 200 to 220 degrees. And also make sure you keep putting the chips in your smoker to get the right amount of flavor that you want for the texture of your meat. So you want to make sure you do that. So let's go ahead and we'll pick this up, back up out here at the cook shack, and we'll show you what we got going on out there. And then after that we'll put the meat in there, and I'll go off, and I guess I better come back in here and clean the kitchen before the wife comes in and sees it. But I will go ahead and do that, and we will see what happens 10 hours or so from now. We'll even check in on it here a little ways through and see how she's doing. So let's head on outside. Okay, so one other thing I like to do is I like to take this tray, and this will go above my heating elements, or my propane burner, or the charcoal, whatever you're doing. And what you want to do is put water in this drip pan. It's a drip pan, but it also acts as a moisturizer for your smoker. It makes the meat a whole lot more tender and it keeps it moist so it doesn't dry out. So I'm going to put this in here, and I'll check this about every hour. Okay, so I like to use either maple or apple chips, and the reason I do is because the smoke from the maple or the apple actually gives the meat a sweeter, the smoke a sweeter taste. And some people like that better rather than smoking your pork and your chicken in mesquite or hickory, where the flavor is. I don't think it complements the meat that well as the apple does. So we've got some in our pan here, and I've had this soaking in water for about 30 minutes, and it's pretty well soaked up. So the wood chips are going to smolder and burn real slow, and I won't have to keep opening the smoker that often to put more chips in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in. We're going to let the smoker get up to temperature, and also let the wood get smoking, and we're going to put our pork in there and get it cooking. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our smoker. It should be about ready. Check our temperature here. Oh yeah, temperature's just where we want it. Let's take a peek inside. Oh yeah, it's time for us to get cooking there, folks. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and get our pork shoulder, and I'm going to put it in the middle rack on my smoker. And the reason being is because I want it to have even heat. And about the middle of the smoker is going to be a pretty even heat. It's not going to be too hot, not going to be too cold. I'm going to get it out. We're going to set it the fat side up, and we're going to put it on the middle rack and just put it on the rack, no pan or anything, and get it smoking, and we'll see what happens a few hours from now. I know this thing is hot, so right in the middle rack. Close the door. Alright, so we got the door closed, we got the meat in there, and we're ready to smoke. We'll see here a few hours from now. We'll be back and check out the meat and see what's going on. Alright folks, so it's been 10 hours, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our meat out, and I'm going to check the temperature and make sure it's at least 190 degrees. We know it'll be cooked. I'm sure it's cooked. It looks really good. So let's go ahead and put a thermometer in. I've got a really good meat thermometer right here, and we'll go ahead and we'll put it in there and check the temperature and get our meat out, and we'll let it go ahead and we'll let it rest for the evening, and then tomorrow I can go ahead and get it chopped up and get it ready for the barbecue. Let's go check out the temperature. And that's what I want to see right there, okay? And that meat's ready to come on out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take the meat out, and I'm going to wrap it up in aluminum foil, take it off the rack, and we're going to do what they call letting it rest. And normally you only let it rest or so for about an hour, but we're going to give it all night because it's almost 11 o'clock. It's been cooking all day, and we'll go ahead and we'll chop it up tomorrow morning. Let me go ahead and get it out, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's done. See if we can peel that back a little bit. Oh yes. Oh boy, that's hot too. But I just have to try it. Just got to try that. Oh, that's good, folks. It really is. Oh yeah, real good. All right, let's get it set in the aluminum foil. Get this thing here, set it in there. Now we're going to wrap it up really good. I'm going to put that piece out there just so I can have another sample and make sure it's really good. Don't want to take any chances now, do we? And we're just going to wrap this up really good in foil. Alright. And we're going to let this sit overnight. Alright, so tomorrow we'll be ready to go ahead and break this meat down, chop it up, debone it, take the fat off, and get it ready for the barbecue tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow when I get ready to chop this up. Okay, so we have our meat here that's been resting all night. Let's go ahead and unwrap it and take a look at it. Now usually you only need to let this rest for an hour or so, but we did ours last night and let it just sit all night because it was late, and we just felt that let's just go, let's let it rest all night. Not that it really matters, I don't think. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is just break this apart any way you can. Now you can see how nicely that's cooked. Now that meat is cooked up really beautifully, and it's got real good smoky flavor, and it's really, really tender. And you're just going to break that up for folks and put it in the tray here, and that'll be it. Then they can put it on a bun, they can eat it just like it is, or any way they like, and it'll be great eating. Okay folks, so there we have it. A little short video on how I barbecue and how I smoke a pork shoulder or Boston butt. Now look, there's a lot of guys out there probably can do it a whole lot better than me, and it may even taste a whole lot better than mine. But this is just the way I did it. I wanted to do a video and show folks a nice, easy, simple way to take a nice piece of meat and get it prepared and get it ready for some friends and folks you might know that you're going to have over for a holiday get-together. Like always, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for a lot more of interesting videos that we have at Carolina Outdoor Adventures TV. Also, don't forget that we have a website, which is the Outdoor Adventures channel. You can check out all of our videos there and all of our TV shows. And make sure you subscribe to our channel and give us a like if you like what you've seen here. So until the next video, I'm Jim Carr, and we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for watching what we did here, and we hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that this helps you in your next little adventure you might have, your next little holiday cookout. Thank you for watching.